So, what is your definition of agroecology?
Well, for me, as far as I've understood agroecology until now, is that it's a way of growing, of farming, agriculture in relation to the nature, the ecology part. So you will look at the nature and then you will try to mimic the nature in the way you're farming, so as to use those good things going on in nature and try to apply that into your farming techniques. But it's also like a social movement, so it's also something about how we make society, like who has the right to food, and it's anti-capitalist way of thinking, and I see that as a good point, but also as a weak point, because that takes a political stand to the food industry. Food is a human right, so it's something that everybody has a right to have. And healthy, clean food that will not kill you or make you sick or anything is also a human right. So therefore, you cannot make it into a profit business only based on those parameters. Well, for me personally right now, I have a little bit of trouble of seeing the agroecology movement start in Denmark, because the system is so rooted. We're so locked. If you look at the land in Denmark, it's on very few hands. There are very few farmers who actually have the land, but they're very big farms. Whereas in some of the other countries, the tropical countries, it's more spread out, and where most of the food is produced today in the world is on the small farms. So it's sort of easier to go in and teach them, but it's also a lot of work, because agroecology is more based on knowledge rather than just using the simple techniques. It's a very information dense way of farming.
Science also.
Science. I like how it combines the traditional knowledge. So sort of that knowledge you get when you're doing the farming, and you like do a trial and error and then adjust accordingly, and also combining what then the scientists can measure. One thing is doing like an experiment in some closed environment at a laboratory and getting a specific result on how this will react or act when you do it. But when you then take it out into nature and have all these other things coming in, that's where, this study that they made in the laboratory will give you some clue about what's going to happen, but you have to look at it in the full perspective. And that's where I think like the traditional knowledge is going to come in very handy, and especially those countries where they have not yet developed as much as we have in Denmark, for instance. We have a very thick layer of scientists and advisors doing a lot of stuff, whereas I feel like some of the traditional knowledge is sort of lost, because and right now we're at that point where we don't have many farmers, so very soon we will run out of people who know by experience. They have all been taught by the scientists, sort of, and I think that's a big shame, and that's why maybe I see it, even though it's probably not going to be easier, I see it as a better starting point in some of the countries where they have not yet lost their traditional knowledge. I'm starting to define my project and actually figure out why I'm here. I'm born and raised at a farm, a conventional farm, and I think the initial thought was that I wanted to prove to my dad that you can do organic farming, but I think now it's become a little bit bigger than just proving my dad wrong.
Okay, so you want to be a farmer?
Well, that I'm still not sure of. I definitely want to do a little bit of farming, and I think that is actually like one of the ways we then would have to start off changing stuff in Denmark would be that everyone would have to farm a little, even the people in cities, just grow a little bit in their windows, just to experience how hard it actually is to make something grow, but also how easy it actually is to make something grow. It's like it's a very nice balance, and I think as soon as you start just doing a little bit, you'll get way more respect for what you're actually eating and for the working conditions for the farmers, so that hopefully will make you more prone to actually pay the actual price of the food that you're eating, and thereby supporting the small-scale farmers, and thereby making it easier for other new coming farmers to join that movement. So instead of seeing other farmers as a competition, I think rather we should see it as a movement spreading. And I think that's also the thought of agroecology, is the peer-to-peer teaching. So you will learn from the other farmers that are around you. I like having someone that knows a lot and ask them for advice, but that they can also incorporate whatever my experiences are, and sort of I can do a ping pong with them, and they can make me reflect on whatever experiences I've had.
Can you say earthworm in Danish?
Regner.